It's going down. All right, Shalom. First and foremost, as always, I would like to give all praises, honor, glory, respect, and blessings to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rachaha, Kwadash. Salutations to the Lord's elect on the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth and sincerity while patiently waiting for Yahweh Shai's return. And double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, which have taught us everything we know through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. And welcome to another series of It's Going Down, being brought to you by the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. African state issues warning to Israel. Okay. And we know that those Africans, for the most part, we know they are predominantly Ham. And according to the Zondervan's Bible Compact Dictionary, we know that Ham became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes. Now, after the Israelites, namely the Jews, which will be the so-called Negroes of the tribe of Judah, the Jamaicans of the tribe of Benjamin, and the Haitians of the tribe of Levi, after the Roman persecution of 70 AD, okay, some of us fled down into Africa and we migrated to the western parts of Africa. That's why you see, some of us living in Nigeria and Libya, you know, and other western regions. Um, but predominantly, we know that Africa is inhabited and ruled by Hamites, which are your Egyptians, your Philistines, okay, your Libyans, okay, and there's others, okay, but these are your Africans, okay, and what we're witnessing here is, the actual Africans, which are the Hamites, have issued a warning to the so-called Israelis. Okay. Now, the reason why we say so-called Israelis is because the people living in the land of Israel today are not the real Israelites. According to biblical prophecy, the true Israelites, which are the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native Indians, will be scattered on the four corners of the earth. That means that the true Israelites will be living in America, in South America, in Mexico, in Canada, in Europe, in Russia, in Germany, in parts of the Middle East, in Africa, Australia, and even Antarctica. Okay. Now you got some Israelites living amongst these fake Israelis in the land of Israel, but wherever our people have been scattered, they ended up coming out of their mother looking like the other nations. But again, according to the book of Numbers, chapter 1, verse 18, your your nationality is based on who your father is. Why? Because the man is the one who carries the seed. Okay? And that's according to Numbers chapter 1, verse 18. So if your father's lineage on your father's side goes back to a so-called Negro, Latino, or Native Indian, you are a Israelite regardless of what you look like. Okay? Because your father's lineage on your father's side goes back to a so-called Negro, Latino, or Native Indian. So here, you know, we have the actual Africans issuing a warning to these fake Israelis claiming our identity, right, in the land of Israel. And basically, it says the Egyptian officials reportedly say Cairo could be forced to terminate a 1978 peace pact. So this was a peace pact that was made in 1978. Okay. Bruce Lee was alive around this time. It says an pact in response to Gaza war. Now, who predominantly lives in Gaza? The Arabs, which are your biblical Ishmaelites. Okay. Ishmael is where you get your Arabs from. Okay. And Ishmael was one of Abraham's sons. And of course, we know that the chosen line or the chosen seed line went to went from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Okay. So it did not go to Ishmael. So the Lord is not dealing with you Ishmaelites. Okay. Even though you're one of Abraham's sons. So you can say that Ishmael is like one of our uncles, if you will. Okay. Because he was one of Isaac's brothers. But it says Egypt has threatened to suspend the Camp David Treaty, a peace. Now remember, around this time, right, around 1978, you heathens were rejoicing at our downfall. You were clapping, you were hissing. Let's get that real quick, okay? When you made this pact, y'all were rejoicing. There was a state of great rejoicing, partying, shouting, yeah, we finally got them motherfuckers, we finally got them in slavery and blah blah blah. Let's get that real quick. 1978, there was a great rejoicing going on. Let's type in Bible. They hiss and wag their heads at at the at the at the at the daughter. Lamentations, the second chapter. Okay, so let's start at verse. Let's just view chapter. Let's go up here. View chapter. Okay, Lamentations chapter 2. So let's start at verse 13, okay? Lamentations 2 and 13. What thing shall I take to witness for thee? What thing shall I liken to thee, O daughter of Jerusalem? What shall I equal to thee that I may comfort thee, O virgin daughter of Zion? For thy breach is great like the sea. Who can heal thee? Thy prophets have seen vain and foolish things for thee, you know, and have not discovered thine iniquity to turn away thy captivity, but have seen for thee false burdens and causes of banishment, right? Your false prophets talking about you gotta, build a community here, that's your examples of them, seeing vain and foolish things, you know? That's not scriptural, man. The Lord said, give them warning from me. Warning of what? Biblical prophecy, man. We're getting ready to enter into Jacob's trouble, and you're over here talking about building a fucking community in this society. All that passed by, okay? All that, excuse me, so a small gap here. All that passed by clapped their hands at thee and hissed and wagged their head at the daughter of Jerusalem. And when did this happen? This happened during the transition of from the Dark Ages into the Renaissance period. Okay, because during that transition, not only were we being killed off by Edomites, and there were probably other nations who had a hand in helping Edom take us down. but we were also being put into slavery and subjection under the heathen. So at around that time, right, when we were going into slavery, okay, it says, all that passed by clapped their hands. They hissed and wagged their head at the daughter of Jerusalem, saying, is this the city that men call the perfection of beauty, the joy of the whole earth? Now, I'm not saying that the Renaissance period took place, during 1978, but during 1978, we were just getting out of slavery. Heathens were heathens, and their countries were just being established. America was being established around this time, you know. We at around that time, we were completely broken, man. So, Slovakia, I gotta correct myself. This is far after the Dark Ages, you know, because during the Dark Ages, we was, just freshly, going into slavery while being taken down at the same time. 1978, this is pretty much after, after they were done having us in hardcore slavery. Slavery was emancipated. It was transferred from physical to mental slavery, you know, and pretty much, man, we were just broken down in the ghettos, strung out on alcohol, and even amongst these other nations, we were pretty much living like shit, man. The East Indians, the Arabs, and I can speak for the Israelites who look like the East Indians living amongst the East Indians because yeah, a lot of them, they were living in wooden houses. They had the piss and shit in a bucket. They had no electricity, nothing, man. Just living like God on reservations, man, here in America. Same thing with the Arabs. Same thing with the Africans. Same thing with the Israelites living amongst the Arabs. Same thing with the Israelites living amongst the Africans. Because you still had Israelites, you still had Israelites, so-called Negro Haitians and Jamaicans living amongst the Africans down there in the western regions of Africa. But they were living like shit, man. Living in the worst parts of the country. Same thing with Europe, man. Israelites living like shit in Europe, man. Because Europe had ghettos too, just like America. Okay. So pretty much around 1978, there was a great rejoicing. That's what Lamentations 2 verse 15 is talking about. All that passed by thee, or all that passed by clapped their hands at thee. They hissed and wagged their head at the daughter of Jerusalem, saying, is this the city that men call the perfection of beauty, the joy of the whole earth? Right? So around 1978, they was rejoicing, they was partying, they was drinking at our downfall. So now the Lord is setting it up to where, you know, Ham is, hey, they're getting ready to say fuck y'all and break terminate this 1978 pact, which was supposed to be a peace pact, that was in response to the Gaza war. So it says Egypt has threatened to suspend the Camp David Treaty, a peace accord that is signed with Israel decades ago. Okay, if the uh, Amalekite state continues with its ground offensive in southern Gaza, the Associated Press reported on Monday. The warning came after the Amalek, and the reason why I say Amalek is because you people in the land of Israel proclaiming to be Jewish, you're not Jewish, okay? Y'all really come from Amalek. Y'all were Amalekites, which when you go do your research on Amalek, Amalek is a descendant of Esau. So you people in the land of Israel, you're really you Jewish, you so-called Jews, or you Jewish people in the land of Israel, your line really goes back to Amalekites, which makes y'all Edomites. An Edomite is a descendant of Esau. So y'all were not Jewish. You wish you was a Jew, but you're not. Now, are there actual Israelites whose line, whose lineage goes back to so-called Negro, Latino, and Native Indians that live amongst the Jewish? Well, of course there is. Okay, but predominantly the real Israelites are going to be scattered on the four corners of the earth. The four corners of the earth, meaning the northern, eastern, southern, and western regions of the earth. So the warning came after the Amalekite forces launched airstrikes on Saturday in the city of Rafah near the Egyptian border, killing more than 100 people, according to the Palestine, which I believe Palestine is another way of saying the Philistines, you know, which Ham originally dwelt in those regions. Okay, but according to the Palestine Red Crescent Society, okay, okay, the so-called Israelis had previously designated the city where an estimated 1.4 million Palestinians have sought refuge after being forced from their homes by bombings elsewhere in Gaza as a safe zone for civilians. It had a population of 280,000 before the war began 4 months ago, and it is now considered the last stronghold of Hamas. Okay. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and that's another thing that disgusts me. You know how you Amalekites, you have biblical Israelite names, but you're not even Israelites. Anyways, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said carrying out ground assaults on Rafah is essential to defeating the Palestinian militant group, which raided Israeli villages on October 7th, killing more than 1,200 people and taking hundreds of hostages. Well, wait a minute. Haven't y'all been invading Gaza and doing the same thing to them? But then when the same thing happens to y'all, right? Y'all want to complain about it. Y'all want to act like y'all the biggest victims on the planet. Motherfucker, please. You Amalekites are full of shit, man, and you're going down. That's all I'm pretty much gonna read, man. With that, I'm gonna say shalom. Is on to the next.